Welcome to Haunt Weekly. Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction haunt entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we have been on a run of interviews. We've had some great guests on, a variety of different organizations being represented. But now we have one of the big ones, so to speak, one of the names you see everywhere.
Yeah. We're continuing the great interviews.
The great interviews and also the discussions of how to build better, healthier, stronger, more diverse haunt communities. And helping us this week is Adleigh O'Neill. Adleigh like Bradley, as now I'll never have that out of my head. From Don't Be a Monster. Adleigh, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing good, doing good.
Well.
It's a windy day here. You weren't on just a second ago. We were warning everyone that there is 17-mile-per-hour winds going on, and it's hitting the door right behind me. So there may be some background noise. It may sound like some jerk is shaking one of those thunder sheets or something every once in a while. Just know it's all okay. We're not going to die. We're all fine. So, I guess Crystal's got the list of questions up. Why don't you start by first telling us all a little bit about yourself and about Don't Be a Monster.
Sure. So, I'm the program coordinator, and Don't Be a Monster is a 501c3 nonprofit that partners with haunted attractions in the U.S. and also in Dubai to provide free bullying prevention assemblies to schools. So, what we do is October is National Bullying Prevention Month here in the U.S. So, every October we create a bullying prevention and mental health presentation that we go into the schools with our partners to provide completely free to our students in our schools. So, and we do this with our mascot Frank, who is sort of a gentle giant. He's got some scars and his clothes are a little ratty, but he kind of resembles sort of like the Frankenstein character, but he is very unique. And so what he teaches students is that no matter what you look like, you deserve kindness. And that it's important to build community and celebrate each other's uniqueness and differences, not just tolerate them. So that's kind of the laydown of the organization. I've been here for 3 years, and I love what I do. I think it's a really fun industry to be in. I love all things Halloween. Although I am sort of a scaredy cat. I think that's probably unique for me. I love horror movies, but I am terrified of actually going to a haunted house. I don't think I could do it.
Well, I understand that. We've actually had actors who do really well as scare actors who are scaredy cats going through haunted houses. So...
Yeah. Maybe that just means you need to be an actor in a haunt, not necessarily attending them.
Yeah,
it is crazy how often that works, and that's not something that's just us that's seen that.
Right. It's because you have the power then. But, okay, so how did you get to Dubai?
So we partner with Hysteria in Dubai.
They
reached out. Yeah. They reached out to us. I think they came on in 2018, if I remember right. And, every year we take in applications from interested haunted attractions early in the year. So we can definitely, any haunted attractions that are interested in getting involved, would love to hear from you. So they became a partner just by reaching out and bringing the program to their community.
Yeah, I know we covered Hysteria when they opened in Dubai. It was big news in the industry at the time.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. It's really cool. They reached out and have literally brought it to the other side of the globe, almost exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we'd love to continue spreading our work because there's really no limit. And honestly, 2020 really proved that. We were able to go completely virtual from last year. So we made a virtual presentation and we're able to distribute that to any school that asked, which is really an amazing thing that we got to do.
Yeah, and that was literally the next question was, how did the chaos of 2020 impact you?
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't an easy year, and not being able to go to our favorite conventions and see all of our supporters and see all of our friends in the haunt community was really a bummer. So really hoping that Transworld and MHC and Texas Haunters Convention, I hope all of those will be good. I'm ready to go to them this year. We'll see.
Hopefully so. You mentioned that haunts could reach out to you and, work with you. What is the haunt's role in working with Don't Be a Monster?
So we have a few levels of interaction that our companies and individuals can do if they want to get involved. So if you're a haunted attraction, if you're an escape room, or if you have your own haunt, or if you do any kind of fun entertainment industry that's around Halloween, we would take any application. So if you wanted to provide these bullying prevention assemblies in your community, that's what you get to do as a partner. So our partners are the ones who really bring the magic of Don't Be a Monster all across the U.S. So they're the ones who choose the volunteers and choose the presentation team who go into the schools, who are our direct line to our students.
Okay.
Neat. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And it makes a lot of sense. Haunt actors playing, a public performance role. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and they're so every year our presentation teams are so happy. By the end of the season, they're really involved with their students, and they really get to talk to students and see how going into these environments and talking to them one-on-one about issues like inclusion, or whenever you have a bully that's your friend, or if you're experiencing relational aggression, which is what I'm saying whenever a friend is bullying you.
Mm-hmm.
These students come and they're as young as 8-9 years old, and they talk about considering self-harm or considering suicide. And those things are you think kids are immune, but oh my gosh, it's such a young age. Kids are really feeling the weight of the world around them. And our program is one way that we can reach out to these kids who feel different and feel excluded and feel, sad and they're being left behind. And whenever we tell them that it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter what you think means that you're different or makes you unworthy. That's not true. You have so much value to the people around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that also makes sense for haunters to get into, because we've, often talked about how many of us consider ourselves misfits in the community.
Yeah.
And I know that growing up, I was bullied fairly badly.
We both were bullied fairly badly growing up, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah. So something like this, I think, would have really helped. And I'm glad that it's out there and doing good in the world. Yeah.
And that's so sad. And it sucks because I hear that all the time from different people in the haunt industry. Is exactly what you're saying. It's a bunch of fun, unique, creative, colorful, fun, exciting, different people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in school, if you don't fit the norm, that means you stand out. And
one thing that I think all haunters have in common is we do not fit the norm. It is not normal to do what we do. That's pretty much
right. And
a known fact.
I love that this industry celebrates that. That's a good thing in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think our organization really found this niche where we're the haunt industry. These people here are the ones who needed this program when they were young. So it's good to be giving it back and paying it forward, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what are some of the long-term damages that can occur from bullying?
Well, I mean, we see things as, I'm sorry. Students who've been bullied are more likely to be depressed, are more likely to have problems with anxiety. And of course, it gets worse as they get older and they have access to drugs or alcohol, or, in the far extreme, if they're considering self-harm or suicide, then that's a lifelong struggle
Right.
that, that kind of trauma can leave those scars, if not healed, if you can't, they can fester. And that's something that we definitely think that what in our program, we really focus on teaching students about empathy and kindness, because a lot of bullying prevention programs really go in and focus on the reporting piece, teaching students like, if you see it, report it, that kind of narrative. Whereas what we really like to teach is a more preventative measure. So we try to teach students the value of empathy. So, instead of being mean to someone, consider why they maybe look different and try to put yourself in their shoes, or how would it make you feel if someone was mean to you? And so we try to take the preventative step of teaching kids how important it is to be aware of your words, how important it is to make other people feel included, how important it is to treat everyone with kindness, no matter how you feel, no matter how different they are from you, no matter how, how grumpy you are that day.
Right.
It's so important to be kind.
Yeah. And I like that approach, because I know that a lot of kids, if you just tell them, if you see something, say something. I mean, we've got that campaign going on now with adults, and they don't do it. So why are we expecting kids to? It's really nice to teach empathy. And I know that for me, one of the other, I think, long-term effects that I didn't realize, is that trust is a big issue as an adult when you're meeting new people. And so whenever we'd been at conferences and things, people would like rush up to me and all excited. And I'm like, wait, I don't know you. And it's not because, I don't want to meet people. It's because I'm not used to people like having a positive reaction to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, it's like, certain types of bullying can really leave lifelong scars and leave you as an adult seeing like, oh, like maybe this behavior is because of some childhood trauma that I didn't realize I had, and that's why it's so important. And I think too, like, we really try to focus on not telling kids like, oh, they're a bully and you're a victim. Instead of, we really avoid that kind of language, because to us, it's everyone, they're all people. Everyone's just a person who is experiencing something. And usually kids who are branded bullies are also dealing with their own trauma, usually at home. So we really like to focus on calling it bullying behavior instead of just, oh, this kid is a bully. It's that they experience bullying behavior. Because it's something they can change. You don't have to be a bully. You can't be branded a bully for life. You can realize like, oh, I was being mean and I targeted this kid and I shouldn't have done that. And I can change. I can grow. So that's something we talk about too.
Okay. Sorry, I had something. One of the things that I was thinking about in this context, we discussed how the haunt industry is the weirdos, and a lot of members of the haunt industry did have issues with bullying because of it at one point. But yet the haunt community is a community within itself, and a lot of young people are involved in it. A lot of teenagers get their first jobs at haunted attractions, and they start there. What are some things haunt owners and organizers can do to address and prevent bullying in their ranks?
Well, I would say that promoting a culture of kindness in the workplace is one of the best ways that you can prevent someone being targeted, or, if avoiding cliques, that kind of thing. Because that's what we see in adult workplace bullying scenarios is where people group up and they think we're the same and they're different. So we need to find people who are similar and stay within that clique. And then anyone who doesn't fit this mold needs to be excluded. When really, if you think of everyone who you meet at, let's say, a work, if you're in a haunt, instead of saying, oh, I need to find people like me, or, oh, I need to stick to people I know. Instead, you should just treat everyone with kindness. So I would say, and that starts at the top. That starts with management. If management really pushes makes the workspace safe and friendly for everyone, then I think people will feel comfortable to reach out to one another.
And I think that's something that's been a common theme among all these interviews we've done about building a better, more diverse haunt community. Because it started with Patrick, who came on to talk about online communities, and then Pete, from
Paul.
Hunters Against Hate. I choked.
Paul.
Dang it! See, that's the bad mispronounce of Paul's name.
Yeah,
Gave him a whole other name. Yeah, sorry. I had Pete on the brain because he's in the chat.
Yeah,
that's what happened there. I can only focus on one name at a time. It's a known fact. But yeah, Paul from Hunters Against Hate and you. And one of the things that everyone has said, Patrick, I think, called it seeding. Mm-hmm. He said when the people at the top, the founders, the people, the upper echelon, their actions are what set the tone for the people underneath them. If they are kindness, if they make a point to outreach to everyone, if they make a point to, be inclusive and be diverse and have that, then everyone underneath will sort of fall in line with it, and that's the community you'll grow. Mm-hmm. Just through the sheer nature of you being that way, and the people you want in the industry, the people you want working for you, you have to have those people at the top to attract more of them in. If you want kind people working for you, you've got to be kind.
Totally.
So,
yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, we love Paul.
Yes. Paul is awesome, and I cannot believe I called him Pete. Oh, by the way, happy birthday, Paul.
That's going to be a thing now.
So, yeah.
So, if you do see signs of bullying, and I guess, A, what are some signs? And B, how do you go about responding to those?
For students or in the workplace?
In general.
General.
Well, okay. Talk a little bit about both, actually, because I'd be curious about both.
Mm-hmm. So your question is, what are signs of bullying?
Yeah.
Like if you
were
to
we'll start with
observe...
what are the signs of bullying,
yeah.
both in school and in the workplace.
Well, so we define bullying as targeted, repeated, and intentional. Those are our three. It has to fit those definitions. So something really important that we teach our students too is the differences between being mean, being rude, and bullying, because those are actually three different things. I know we kind of use mean and rude as synonymous, but really they're different. So, being rude would be if I bumped into you and then didn't say sorry. It was an accident, but I didn't care, right? That's rude. You should be polite. You should not bump into people. You should apologize if you do. So it was unintentional. Being mean is intentionally hurting someone's feelings. So if I make a joke that I think is funny, but it hurts your feelings, whether or not I say sorry afterwards, if I was trying to hurt your feelings, then that's being mean. And if I target a specific person, if every single day I say the same mean thing to another person that I go to work with, or that I go to school with, every single day, so it's repeated, and it's intentional because I'm trying to hurt their feelings, and it's targeted because it's a specific person. So that's how we define bullying. So if you were to observe another person bullying, you would see someone interacting with another person regularly, and it's not a friendly encounter. So bullying can be physical, it can be cyber, so it can be online, it can be emotional or psychological, so that could be saying mean things, that's verbal. Yeah. So, or it could be physical, like I said. So if you see someone literally push another kid, that's what we really think of bullying as because of 80s movies, right? Like, kid steals your lunch money or pushes you. That's kind of the old school definition. So I know that a lot of adults are like, oh, I was bullied when I was a kid. I'm fine. Like, probably not, but like, no, like it's really not okay. Like,
well, and
if someone pushed you at work, like you would not be okay with that. So why would you be okay with another kid pushing another kid at school? Like,
Right.
it's not a rite of passage. It's something that kids need to be taught at a very young age, that your actions have consequences, and something that it might just be a mean comment to you, but it's going to echo through that other person's brain forever, or for however long it takes for them to heal.
One of the things I think a lot of people, because you mentioned the classic 80s trope of the big kid waiting around the tree and taking the lunch money and all that. That ancient,
see me outside at 4 o'clock. I'm going to beat you up.
Oh, God, school goes so late. It used to be 3.
Yeah.
But no, you mentioned that trope. But one of the things a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of bullying may not look from the outside like bullying. It may just seem like regular interactions, playfulness, and so forth. And one of the things, and this is something that came out in the haunt industry recently, this was a big whoop-de-doo here for a bit, was saying things and saying, this is like an inside joke. Oh, yeah, we always pick on so-and-so about this or that. And, we don't really know how that person feels about it, especially if it goes on day after day after day. Something that maybe... It may even be taken in good humor the first time it happens. By the 20th or the 30th, it's now more of a pattern. And a lot of people don't understand when their behavior is a form of bullying or when it is entering into meanness.
Right. And I think, a small part of that, not responsibility, but I would say, that's up to the person who's being targeted to voice up and stand up for themselves. We teach kids not to be a bystander. So if you observe, if you think, your friend at work and they don't really like that comment, that joke that keeps coming up or whatever, and you see it, instead of being a bystander, be an upstander, stand up for them. And we teach kids to stand up for themselves too. Because it's up to you to look out for yourself. You have to voice that if you're not really okay with that joke, you need to voice that and say, hey, I don't like it when you say that joke. Like, can you stop saying that over and over? And then now we're dealing with a different problem. If they refuse to stop, then it's very clear that that's bullying.
Right.
If they do, then you have a good friend. Like maybe you shouldn't. That's. If they don't want to change, then maybe you should change your friends.
And another issue is, this was the other thing that came up, was that behavior may be fine between two people who know each other, but when you take it online or you take it elsewhere where other people become involved, now you may be causing harm to others. There's no such thing as an inside joke told in public. It's one thing I like to tell people, because, if that joke is an offensive joke, for example, and you post it publicly, then the public, that can be causing undue harm to others that may not have been the original target.
Right. Well,
know your audience.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is even if you think it's a fine joke and it's an inside thing, people can start internalizing things that are repeated to them over and over without even realizing it, I think. And that can do damage, and it becomes not okay, even if it was, oh yeah, ha ha ha, at the beginning,
So, be mindful of that type of stuff, basically, I guess.
No.
So, like you said, you described some of the warning signs. What should be done? What should you do if you see bullying taking place, either as a higher up or just an observer?
Yeah, and obviously you talked about empowering people to report it themselves and stand up for themselves.
If you say don't be a bystander, okay, I don't want to be a bystander. What do I do?
Yeah.
How's that?
So that definitely depends on, if you're in school, if you're a child versus if you're an adult in the workplace, because those are totally different environments.
Yeah, agreed.
So we would say for students that, yes, reporting is definitely something that you need to know. You need to know your school's rules on bullying behavior, on what the school policy is. Like, you need to know that you can talk to the counselor or any teacher or the principal or basically any adult at your school you can go to and ask for help. And one of my favorite moments in our presentations when we're in person is we show our students, like, teachers, like, raise your hand if you would be okay with the students coming up to you and reporting bullying behavior. Raise your hand if you would know how to help them. And every teacher raises their hand in the room. And it's like, I think important for students to see, like, oh, like, all these adults are my allies. I can count on them to help me if I'm in a problem. And so that's something I would say is definitely report if necessary, right? But that's not the only key piece. Like, there's definitely, before you're ready to report something, there's a series of events that happen before that, right? Mm-hmm. So I would say something I think personally that stops bullying right in its tracks is to not care. Like, if someone says something, like, don't react to the bullying, don't interact with the person doing bullying behavior. Because a lot of times that's what they're looking for, is just attention or a reaction. So if you don't give them that, then that really empowers you to just walk away. Like, okay, you said that thing, but I don't care. You can't touch me, even if it does, but don't show it, that kind of bravado almost, I think, is a good way to shake off people who are giving you attention that you don't want. But secondly is to have a good group of friends. I would say if you feel like you have people that you can count on to look out for you, to stand up for you if you can't stand up for yourself, or to remind you, like, hey, that comment's not real, like that, like, they don't know what they're talking about. That's not true about you, that kind of thing. That's like a really good safety net for you to fall back on. And then I would also say, you have to learn to advocate for yourself. You have to learn to tell someone, hey, I don't like when you say that. Stop. Or like, hey, don't push me. I'm not okay with you pushing me. Don't touch me. Don't say this to me. Don't, actually speaking to the person doing this bullying behavior is one way that you can just voice it so they know, and at this point, that they are doing it intentionally, and you voice that you're not okay with it. There's no longer an excuse that, oh, well, I didn't know it bothered you. Like, well, I told you it bothered me.
Right.
Right. So that's and then if you've done all these things, or if you can't do all those things, then I would say report.
Okay. So if you see that going on, well, I guess it goes back to having a good foundation and having like rules in place so that if something is happening, then you know where to report to if it gets to that point. Yeah. And having like clear and divisive, if this is reported, then this will happen,
And the haunted attractions especially are interesting because, like I said, this is a lot of kids' first jobs.
Yeah.
This is their first introduction to the working world. And a haunted attraction is by no means a typical workplace.
No.
No way.
It's not a typical workplace by any stretch of the imagination, but it is sort of that transition between school, and that world and the working world.
Yeah.
A lot of people. That's where that transition begins. And a lot of that also includes bullying behavior, unfortunately. Either, whether they were the victims of bullying and in school and are, taking in whatever scars they came with that into the workplace, or the bullying behavior itself, and how to deal with it. And yeah, I think this is a training ground for how to deal with it in a lot of ways in a more business environment, because that's something that maybe they are more comfortable dealing with it on the school side. They have their friends, they have their things there, they can help them deal with it. But getting into a workplace environment can be very different and very shocking.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think, like, you bring up a good point too, that it is such a unique place to work. You're not sitting at a desk and 9 to 5, and like it's very, it's a friendly group of people. Like they're, well, not always, of course, every, I just mean it's very, almost like a club, like, you get together and you're working on a project together. Maybe more like a team is really the right word.
Yeah.
You're working towards something, and you have a season, and you're creating something together. So I think those things, all of that really leads to opportunities where you can connect with people because you're really working together with them, and it's creative and it's exciting. So I think, this industry is a great way for young, adolescent workers to get started and see like, oh, this is sort of like what I'm used to at school, maybe like on my sports team or in band or whatever, but then you're with adults and learning the adult working world too.
I will say, having been in both band and haunted attractions, I much prefer haunted attractions. Infinitely more.
I was in drumline, so
I was a bass clarinetist. Okay. I'm lucky. I was a bass clarinetist in marching band. I'm lucky I didn't have back issues before I turned 18. That is a terrible instrument to give someone that was my size. I was like 90 pounds. The clarinet was probably bigger than me. Oh man, but
so since it is, often the first job for kids, especially in like charity haunts where they will take kids who are younger. What advice can you give to nurture someone who has been bullied?
For like a 16-year-old worker, like
for kids who have been bullied, who are now going to a haunt to work for their first time, and you can see that that because there are signs that someone has trauma in their life. They're not as open to getting into big groups. They're kind of stay to themselves. There are things that stand out.
Or oftentimes, at least. Not always, but oftentimes.
Not always, yeah.
Right. I would say that, like, in any situation where you're meeting new people, like, the best way and the fastest way is to just be open and be honest and true to you. Be yourself. Because maybe in high school, you're picked on for being different, but this is such a unique group of people, this haunt industry, like this haunt family, that all of these unique, colorful, interesting people in this industry are not going to pick on you for being weird. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, you love to draw, share that with your coworkers, oh, you love to paint and that's why you wanted to get into making props. Like, okay, like, that's awesome. Like, this is a workplace where we're going to celebrate that. Like,
you love to draw. You just got a job doing scene design. I mean, I got bad news. You have work if you like to draw your own haunted house.
Right. We'll see if you still love it by the end of the job.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I think the best thing to say is to just, even if it's hard, no matter how hard it is, do your best to just be real with people, like, be you, because this isn't a place where, we're not too scared of you being unique and different. And like, oh, you you have a weird hobby, so does everyone in this group. Like,
literally, look at what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing normal about this.
So you mentioned early on that you went all virtual.
Yeah.
For 2020, and I know that we were interested in how that worked and what you saw from the students.
Yeah, so instead of going into our schools, we decided that the best and safest thing to do would be to have our presentation teams hold off for the year. So we went entirely virtual. So we created a video of two of our presenters and Frank, of course, to talk to students about issues that they're going to be dealing with, like, while learning from home. So, bullying is going to be a little different this year if it happens. Hopefully it's less, but, it's not going to be the 80s trope because you're at home. They can't steal your lunch money if you're at home. So we really shifted our presentation to really talk about mental health and to really talk about how to be an upstander during the pandemic, like how to look out for your neighbors and how to look out for your classroom or your classmates and how to stay connected with each other, even though we're apart physically. So we got really great reception this year. One of the best, blessings in disguise, I like to say, is that we were able to send our presentation to any school that wanted it. There was no restrictions. We didn't have to turn anyone away because they were an hour and a half away from the haunt. And we didn't have to say like, oh, I'm so sorry, we're not in your market. Like, reach out to your haunt and try to get us there. Like, here are some other resources. But like this year, we got to send it to anybody who was interested, which was really great. And I know a lot of our reviews came in that it was like really refreshing to be able to talk to their students about things that they're dealing with. Like, their parents might have job insecurity, or they might have a lack of access to technology, so they're struggling to keep up in school, or maybe they lost someone to COVID. They're dealing with grief. So it was really a good way for us to make our platform just as relevant as it always is every year, but to make it really relevant to the issues they're dealing with this year.
Yeah. And I think if anything good comes of COVID, I hope is that a lot of the virtual stuff we've been doing hangs around, even if it's in a partnership or conjunction with the in-person stuff,
Right.
because that has opened up so much accessibility. And now that we're all used to video chats,
Yeah. This is daily life now.
you don't have that barrier that we always had in trying to do things virtually. Now we're all, at least, I've always been used to it. I've always worked remotely, so this was nothing new to me. But I know a lot of people, this was a big leap for them. And now that barrier's been removed, you can expect the craft group, Ellie runs. I know we've been talking about when we go back to in-person meetings, we're going to have a virtual component. We're going to bring a laptop or whatever and have people there virtually. The ones that can't make it or maybe are too far away. So I think that is great that you did the virtual component. I hope it's something you're able to continue in future years, like you said, so you never have to turn a school down. You can say, okay, we're not in your market. We can't do an in-person presentation, but here's the virtual one.
Right.
Feel free to use it. Godspeed.
Yeah, that's my goal. We'll see. We're hoping that we'll get to do both this year. We're really hoping that the budget and that everyone's safe again to be in their classrooms. And so we'll see.
Knock on, I got some wood here. I got some wood back here. I'll use that. Oh, man. But yeah, hopefully, I'm hoping that we're back on the right track sometime by the end of summer, so next school year.
Yeah.
We'll be, I can only hope. It's been too long.
Yeah.
Even I'm getting worn down, and I'm a hermit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I work from home as well, and even I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go outside.
I just want to go grab a Guinness and play some crokinole with my friends at the local bar and have everything be normal for a little bit,
Right. Yeah.
I just want that so bad, and no, we can't have that yet.
Right.
Though you wouldn't know that from the pictures on Bourbon Street.
No.
Jerks.
Yeah.
But that's a whole separate story.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I found it really interesting that you guys went virtual, and like you said, I think it's really great that the reviews were as good as you say they were. I think that's awesome.
Positive.
To that end, though, looking at the opposite side of it, how did going virtual change the nature of bullying? Has there been any major shift there? I know obviously cyberbullying is going to increase, but so any thoughts on how that impacted it?
Yeah, so from some of the studies that I've read, I've seen, obviously reports that cyberbullying has increased, and the amount of like hate speech online has increased, which, you can derive that from any number of things. It's been a rough year politically as well. Yeah. We won't get into that, but so I think, you see students dealing with like adult issues because they're at home more, like, as I said, like, now students aren't going to school where they have a structured day and they have other adults around them to look up to, or they can see their group of friends, their support group of friends, and they can, have a guaranteed meal and guaranteed water and, attention and being in a group. All of those things go away whenever you're stuck at home for 12 months.
Right.
Yeah, even if you're stuck with people, like we've been lucky, our quarantine household is 3 people, it still feels kind of lonely.
Exactly. Yeah. And, the isolation piece alone is going to be an increase for kids and for adults in depression, in anxiety, in insomnia, in all these number of mental health issues that lead to the issues that we're trying to prevent. Like
and unfortunately, I think one of the challenges, this is speculation, but I have a strong feeling it's accurate enough, is that like you talked about, people who are engaging in bullying behaviors oftentimes are maybe experiencing bullying behavior from the other direction, or they're experiencing other stressors. Exactly. And bullying behavior is one of the ways they take some degree of control. Well, in 2020, ain't nothing been in anyone's control.
Right, nothing's promised.
And as a result of that, I think that would make it more tempting and maybe more likely. And then, like I said, you've got cyberbullying as a thing where it's seen as zero risk and often seen as quote unquote not real, even though it's every bit as real. I mean,
I would say if 2020 proved anything, it's that virtual communication is important. An important piece of how we communicate now is our online interactions. And so it's very silly for anyone to say that cyberbullying
20 years ago.
No.
Right. Yeah. Seriously, like, can you imagine how isolated that would really be? Like, you would have to write letters, I guess.
Imagine being like the flu epidemic of the 1920. How rough that was mentally on people. Spanish flu,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably see like a ripple effect in mental health because of this year or 2020, and hopefully not so much 2021.
Yeah.
But that's, unfortunately the unpredictability of life is life. Like, we'll have to deal with different stressors and different trauma and grow from it.
And I know a lot of people are worried about kids falling behind in school and all that. I can't remember where I heard this, though. It's one of the most stinky pieces I've ever heard in my life, is that we're all juggling balls, right? We got a ball that's our family. We got a ball that's our mental health, our physical health, a work ball. We've got all these balls circling. The thing is, the work ball is made of rubber. All the others are made of glass. You drop the work one, you can pick it back up, but you cannot do that with your family, your mental health, your physical health. So you have to prioritize everything else over work. And students will be fine. There was a study a while back from kids in the Bosnian War. They basically missed 4 years of school. Between the war itself and the aftermath and everything, they missed 4 years of school. Their long-term outcomes were fine. They did great for themselves. They've gone on to be teachers, doctors, lawyers, everything else just the same. So I understand worrying about kids being educated and that push back toward classrooms, but let's make sure everyone's mental and physical health is preserved first.
Yeah,
and part of that is this stuff. Exactly.
Yeah, I would say, of course it would be in an ideal world. Yeah, everyone wants to be back in the normal world, but we also need to be careful about choosing what's important to bring back. Exactly. There's also some things that, like, well, maybe we don't all need to be in the office 40 hours a week minimum, like there's definitely value in being home more. And
I think, like we said, some of the virtual elements can continue. I don't think there's any harm in having physical classrooms, but having them recorded and streamed to the kids that can't be there. If you are sick and out of school or out of town, you still may be able to attend class virtually now. That's a neat thing, and that provides a greater level of consistency. Because, I remember I fell ill with surgery once. I had to get a surgery done in the middle of the school year, and I missed like 2 weeks of school. And it wasn't just the surgery. Everything else in my life had been thoroughly disrupted. It made it harder to get back to school. So stuff like that. I mean, I think if we can take the good that we have built in 2020 and continue it into 2021 and beyond, we'll be a lot better off for it. I mean, yeah, it was a rough year, and it still is. Like I said, we're in day 390 something, 396 of 2020, as far as I'm concerned. But still, I mean, the lessons we learn, I think, can help for a long, long time to come, and I think that's going to ultimately be a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know that like this year, like mental health, like the hashtag or mental health awareness and different things like that have exploded online because people are realizing like, oh, when I'm isolated, I'm not as okay as I think I am, or like, oh, I'm, I need to prioritize my mental health. And
I agree.
I mean, I'm a millennial. So like my reaction when I'm dealing with a new problem is also to turn to the internet and to try to learn what I can online about it. So like to see like trending hashtags that are about mental health has really been a good thing. Like I think that's a positive thing out of 2020 I'd like to see going forward. I hope that more people will be willing to make time and space and talk to other people about their mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a great point.
Yeah. The only other thing I've been thinking of is that that kids are getting to see what their parents go through when they're working from home too. And I have a good coworker who her son's basically upset and telling her to quit because of how stressful the job is. And I think that there are some people who will let themselves be walked over for work, and I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's a rubber ball. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a rubber ball, man.
Exactly.
Set it down, pick it back up. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, and people don't think of it that way. People think of work and in the same vein, school, because when you're a kid, school is your work.
Yeah.
My parents always told
Full-time
me that
job.
is your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same thing. That's you pick it down, you can drop it and pick it back up if you have to. If something's going to drop, that's what drops. And that's something I think very important to teach everyone, because I know I needed to learn that, because I tend to go a little overboard sometimes.
Me too.
We all do. I think in this house we all have a little... Good job, Jonathan. Yeah, we all have a little bit of the overworking nature in this household.
Yeah.
Or a lot of it. So we've got a few minutes left. Tell us, where we can find Don't Be a Monster. All the places and the Tweeties and the Facebookies and all that we can find you. And also how to get in touch if your haunted attraction is interested in participating.
Sure. So don'tbeamonster.org is our website. You can check it out. You can sign up for our virtual presentation if you're a teacher or an administrator or counselor, anything in a school. You can find all of our social media there. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We've got most of all of it. No Pinterest board, though. Maybe we should make Frank a little Pinterest page. I don't know. All of our usernames are at Don't Be a Monster, so nice and simple. And you can also donate on our website if you're able or if you're willing. We're accepting all donations and would really appreciate any help you can give. Not been an easy year on us, so and our program is 100% donation based. So we are your donation directly contributes to our ability to give this program for free to all schools.
And you also have a very kick-ass store, I might add.
Yes, you can get some merch. Yeah.
I mean, I know Crystal's damn near bought you out on some of this stuff. I know she's got the poster and a couple of the T-shirts and some other stuff. I know we got the stickers floating around.
Yeah, I actually put the poster up at my office because I work on a campus.
Thanks. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... But all kinds of T-shirts, wristbands, buttons, badges, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, all kinds of great stuff in there. So once again, it's don'tbeamonster.org to donate or to shop. And like I said, if a haunt wants to get involved, what's the process?
So same thing, go to our website and you can learn a little bit more about the different levels for partners and supporters. And then basically just send me an email and we'll talk.
Yeah, I think it's... really great. I am looking currently at the stars on the map that you are coast to coast, as they say. Quite literally.
We've got 20 partners, so we're growing.
Yeah, Netherworld's a partner. Oh, that's cool. Dent Schoolhouse, that makes sense. Yeah, a lot of familiar names to me on this list of partner haunts. So that's great. Definitely, I think more stars on that map should be forthcoming, though. I think that would be great. I would love
this. We have one of the fun things this year showed too is cities that know our name and are interested. We need a haunt in Vegas to pick us up. We got so many Nevada schools interested, and that's a fun thing to see. And
you hear that, Vegas? Anyone out there listening to Vegas? You got a job. You got work to do.
Send an email to your haunt. Say you need to get involved in your community.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like I said, you literally have coast to coast. Actually, you're tri-coastal. You've got along the Gulf Coast too. So that's cool. But yeah, you've got a lot of great haunts, and of course, there's Hysteria way off in not on the U.S. map because they're Dubai, as we know. But no, I think this is great, and like I said, if you are able to participate or assist with this, I think it is a great thing to do, and it's also a good team building exercise for actors too. I think your actors will get a lot out of it as well. So yeah,
they have lots of fun stories by the end of this season.
And it gives, and one thing we always talk about on this podcast, is the need to build and keep that actor rapport going in the off season. Mm-hmm. And this is a way to do it. I mean, October is the month of most activity, as you said, is Bullying Awareness Month, but this is also something that keeps people engaged and keeps people interacting year round, basically. Mm-hmm. This is going to be something that your actors will be talking about and clamoring over for some time. Mm-hmm. So it's a great way to do that too. So yeah, definitely don'tbeamonster.org is the site. If you want to get involved, there's a get involved link at the very top. It's actually pretty self-explanatory. And you can there become a supporter or a partner. And you can also if you just want to donate, there's the big yellow donate button and also the shop link at the very top. A great store that puts ours to absolute shame. Which is fine, So yeah, Adleigh, thank you for coming on and talking with us about it. It's been wonderful having you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was so nice to meet you and chat. I hope to see you at a convection this summer.
Yeah, I do not know what our plans. I know, unfortunately, we found out, and this will be in the news when we do the next news episode. The Ohio Haunters Convention, was canceled for this year. And then due to circumstances beyond their control. And I understand the reasoning completely. Yeah. But that was the one we were tentatively looking at going to. But maybe we'll figure out another one, Yeah. And they'll bump into you there.
Maybe. It would be good to see you in person. So.
Yes. We'll try to make it work out somewhere sometime. But once again, don'tbeamonster.org. All kinds of great links there. Please check them out. Give them support. Give them love. And if you're in California, Las Vegas, Florida, they got some spots there. They got some gaps there in the map that you can help fill and help reach communities in your area on this very important subject. Yeah. So
we would love it.
Definitely, if you have the ability, please do consider it. Well, thank you again, Adleigh, for talking. This has been Haunt Weekly, episode number 270, interviewing Don't Be a Monster. You can find more Haunt Weekly at hauntweekly.com or Haunt Weekly on Facebook, Haunt Weekly on Twitter. There's a bit of a pattern here, folks. Also, youtube.com/hauntweekly is our YouTube channel. All 270 episodes are there with lists and ways to make your listening much, much easier. And as always, you can find us at Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever finer podcasts are sold. Until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we will see you all next week with yet another interview, keeping the trend going. Man, it's such a better podcast when we have people that aren't us on it. We will see you all next week.